Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Norwalk Bike Walk Commission meeting. Today's date is Monday, August 4th, and the time is 6:04 p.m. Excuse me. In attendance tonight, we have Commissioner Becca Stoll, Commissioners Manny Salgado and Nick Pappas will be joining shortly, joined also by Greg Pacelli, and it looks like we have a number of people in tonight's audience for public participation. With that, I guess I would like to open up to our public comment period. So if you're joining us for the first time tonight, we open with the opportunity to give public comment. So if you are interested in sharing something with our commission tonight, you may raise your hand. And in order of raised hands, we will unmute you so that you can share what you have to say. Okay, so it looks like we have a few people lined up already. First, we have Kelly. Kelly, if you want to go ahead.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly. I'm an East Norwalk resident, and I'm really happy to be here tonight. And I just wanted to share with everyone and the commission that recently I was riding on the Harbor Loop Trail that leads over to office building that houses a couple different medical groups, including Quest Diagnostics. And unfortunately, that building has opted to put up a chain link fence around their parking lot, which cuts off the trail. So I wanted to just share with everyone, I put in a complaint with the town hall as well as with a local officer who also put in a report. So hopefully we're working on both ends there, but just wanted to share with the group. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, thank you for letting us know that's happening. Do you happen to have any pictures? And when you say you submitted a complaint, it was through the click and request app, I'm guessing.
I don't have pictures. Would have been a good idea. I didn't go through the click and request. I actually called town hall and spoke with this woman that's usually there. She's so nice. I forgot, but yeah, that I just did a verbal complaint. So hopefully that still resonates just as much as the virtual.
Okay. And it's cutting off part of the trail you said. I was trying to pull up a map here, but I don't know if I can find it.
I think as we
Is it,
know, the Harbor Loop Trail isn't super extensive, but it does, have kind of a straight shot over to the green from the dump.
Mhm.
And it isn't all trail necessarily, but there is access points where you can cross through the parking lot, which is the reference that I'm making to connect back onto the other side. So it's kind of cutting off that connection from one side to the other.
Okay. And it is on like commercial property, you were saying potentially, or
I think it's Saints Anne's Club. It's where Saints Anne Club meets that facility, which alls I know as a reference is Quest Diagnostics is in there. I think it's 148 East
Emily,
Ave.
it's just north of exit 16 on 95.
Okay, here, let's see. I'll just
But yeah,
quickly share.
148 East Avenue is that huge medical complex down the hill from East Avenue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yep. And there is, yeah, right along here. So you saying there's a chain link fence up right now that's blocking the connection to be able to walk through here.
Correct.
Okay. Well,
It's
yeah,
new. It was not there earlier this year, so that's why I'm just bringing it up.
thank you for bringing it to our attention. And I don't know, course of action. Greg, do you have any recommendations on what we can do to escalate this?
Yeah, no, the best would to go through customer service, so this way it can get to the proper parties, and then we can look at it and look at the exact location and see where the property line is. So I know you spoke verbally, probably to customer service, but the best route would be through the customer service request app through online. So this way we can track it and it can be delivered to the proper person within City Hall.
Thank you, Greg. And thank you, Kelly, for sharing this with us.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Kelly or? Kelly,
Um,
do you have any other questions?
In looking
Oh,
at the map, I switched it to satellite view on my end, and this also might be a safety concern because it appears that area where the bikes would cut through is marked as a fire lane. So I'd imagine that access between the two parking lots is essential for that as well. You know, I'm not an expert, but it seemed worth noting.
thank you, Becca. Okay. Moving on to our next participant here who has their hand raised. Jack, can you go ahead? And I think Eileen has unmuted you.
Yeah, hi. So thank you so much for mentioning this meeting earlier, Emily. I'm just here on behalf of Norwalk Transit District, where I'm interning this summer. And I just wanted to shout out the fact that we have a new bus network coming in a week from today. And we're doing a volunteer push from the 11th, which is the day of the changeover, through the 13th. And we are looking to recruit volunteers to canvass riders at the various hubs, particularly at South Norwalk Station, East Norwalk Station, and the Burnell Wheels Hub. So if you are interested at all, you can feel free to email jpavia, Pavia, at norwalktransit.com if anyone has any interest. Yeah, thank you all for the work you guys are doing for Norwalk.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of ads on bus stops about the new network coming out on August 11th. So I'm excited to see what that'll bring for walkability and access for public transit around Norwalk. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thanks, Emily.
Okay. Any other questions for Jack or any thing else from our commission? Okay, moving on to our next public comment here. We have Phil, or I'm sorry, Jacob was first. My bad. Jacob, go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. I'm Jacob Waring, a freelance reporter who contributes to Nancy on Norwalk. Nancy on Norwalk informs and engages Norwalkers with watchdog journalism and a digital town square. I'm covering Phil Chiaya's Ride the Tide that is occurring this September. Per my understanding, what makes Ride the Tide captivating is the mission statement pertaining to environmental stewardship and raising awareness and funds for the Children Cancer Research Fund. According to the information I have on hand, this would also be the first hydro bike crossing of the Long Island Sound. I will be on hand to cover the ride in September. If any of the commissioners are open to an interview or would like to share more about how the Bike and Walk Commission plans to support or partner with Ride the Tide, I would love to connect with anybody interested sometime after the meeting this week. I'll leave my contact information in the chat or follow up by email, or Emily, you can give any of the commissioners my contact. And that wraps up what I'm saying. Thank you so much for the invite, Emily, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for joining, and we're excited to hear more about it. And yeah, thank you for all the reporting you're doing with Nancy on Norwalk. It's nice to virtually see you again.
Mm-hmm. That's nice to see you too.
Okay, and then I know we also have Phil on our call today with his hand raised. So Phil, if you have anything to add to what Jacob was just saying, or if you have something else to bring to the commission, you may go ahead and speak.
Yeah, so Phil Chiaya here, Norwalk native. Just wanted to kind of report back to you. About a month ago, I was still waiting for my equipment to arrive, which I've received, tested, used, and it's a very doable endeavor. Had the opportunity to have an interview, and very confident this is going to be a successful launch. Did kind of soft launch the website today. It's still a work in progress. It's ridethetide.net. So we'll be having some updates there. Social, I have Instagram now, which I've never had before. New Facebook page, but it's been received by those in the community pretty well, and I'm excited for it. So, ultimately, really just trying to link, the active transportation piece, which I think the commission is all about, and environmental health, making everything more bikeable, walkable, of course. And yeah, I just wanted to report to you guys that everything is moving along pretty well.
Thank you, Phil. I'm really glad to hear it. And I think tonight's meeting is especially special because we have also Jody Chandler here, our Director of Sustainability and Resilience. So it would be great to hear kind of her thoughts on Ride the Tide, or to connect you to as well for this venture. I
Excellent.
know you shared in our last meeting, but thank you, for checking back in and letting us know when your ride is. And I believe
Yeah, I
Jacob
can.
mentioned earlier, it's sometime in September potentially.
So right now, tentative dates are 9/20, 9/21, 9/27, or 9/28. Obviously, if we have a hurricane blow through or something like that, I won't be out. That'd be too dangerous for everybody. But those are the 4 dates picked.
Great. Well, thank you, Phil. We'll keep in touch, and however our commission can support you in this with the city of Norwalk, we're happy to help.
Excellent. I appreciate that.
Any other commissioners with questions for public participation, or any other members of the public that have anything they want to add? Jack, I still see you have your hand raised, but I don't know if that's just, okay. Oh, we have another Jack. I don't know if we've met before, but Jack, go ahead.
Yes, well, I'm on the agenda. Is that coming later, or is that is
Yes, sir. Are you with the Lockwood Lane sidewalk?
yes, yeah.
Yes, and Stacy Herbert. Yes, we have you on our agenda a little
Okay.
later tonight. Thank you for joining.
All right, great, thanks.
Perfect. Okay, so then with that, I think we will move on to our next agenda item, which is my special honor to introduce Jody Chandler joining our Bike Walk Commission call. She is the City of Norwalk's first Director of Sustainability and Resilience, and I will hand it over to her to speak towards the Sustainability and Resilience Plan that she's enacting and working on building out for our city, in addition to the Community Sustainability and Resilience Task Force. She's also created a green team within the city of Norwalk, and we met briefly about our mutual goal of improving our bike league honorable mention to being a bronze status. So with that reference, I'll hand it over to Jody. Thank you for joining tonight.
Thank you, Emily. I am so excited to be here. Am I able to share my screen?
I believe so. Darlene, is that possible?
Yeah, yes, you can.
Okay. All right. Yes, I am so happy to be here. And yeah, Phil, very excited to hear about your project, your Ride the Tide. I love that. That's so unique, and it should grab a lot of attention, hopefully. So yeah, Godspeed on that. Looking forward to it. So I am the Sustainability and Resilience Director, and I'm so amazed that I started in February, in case you aren't familiar, and I have been completely amazed with how much Norwalk has going on in all of these different sustainability arenas. So I was hired to begin implementing the Sustainability Resilience Plan that was opened in 2024. There's still some work that needs to be done with that. So there were no specific targets set with that. So that's one of the big things that I'm doing. But along those lines, how I'm going to do that is I'm reaching out to all of the amazing people in our community, like you all. So let's see. All right, well, I guess we'll start with this. All right, so our sustainability and resilience plan. It's actually going to encompass, it's going to be broken down into various sectors of our community. So there'll be energy, community engagement, natural resources, waste, developing the circular economy, building and development, health, food, and housing, safety and emergency preparedness and response. And then, of course, mobility is a gigantic piece to this whole plan. As you all know, how important it is to transition and reduce our vehicle miles traveled in our internal combustion or ICE vehicles. And so what I am doing in order to help make this more efficient, because I'm only one person, and in order to implement community sustainability, it's going to take the community. So based on our greenhouse gas emissions inventory that was done as part of the 2024 plan, our emissions from our city, the highest thing is transportation, so individually, and then energy is more, but it's broken down into residential and commercial. So, but if you look at it with those three breakouts, transportation is the highest contributor to emissions in our community. So this is a very critical area that needs to be addressed, and figuring out how we're going to do that. Oops, sorry, lost my mouse. So what I'm envisioning with this task force, starting this task force, and this is made up of community members. So we are inviting anybody in the community who is interested in participating to come join us. You don't have to be an expert. Everybody has something to contribute. So if there's one area or another where people feel drawn to, obviously, you all are under the active transportation section, under mobility. We're encouraging people to just step up and get involved, because it's going to take all of us in order to make this transition, as I'm sure you all are aware of for all of the things you've been working on in your commission already. So hopefully we can synergize some efforts and ramp things up and get things moving on a more strategic and sustained effort. So that's the ultimate goal for the Sustainability and Resilience Plan. So the amazing thing, like I said, since I've started and I'm learning about the community, I am like amazed at how much there are. So there's like 50 boards, commissions, and entities that are already involved with the city, and helping with city advising, planning, and projects. So what my vision is to take the existing entities, use these existing entities, such as the Bike Walk Commission, and coordinate efforts across the whole spectrum of sustainability. So you can see under mobility here, I've got EV, so that includes infrastructure and transitioning and monitoring and getting chargers and all of that, transitioning our EV infrastructure so that it can handle the capacity that it's going to need to. Public transport. So Jake, yay, shout out. Thank you for being here. And thank you for all that you've done, because I know Norwalk Transit has electric buses, and they're definitely going to be a big piece of this as well. So it'll be pulling them in. And then obviously the active transportation, which is the biking and walking, which is you all. And the most beneficial thing about all of this is that you really don't have to do anything different or more than what you're already doing. You know, it's like your mission is to get people walking and biking, right? So that is still going to be the mission. It doesn't need to change anything. What I'm hoping is that it'll be able to overlap and work in a more, like I said, strategic manner with everybody and all the different pieces. So on that note, so I know Emily, you had mentioned your objectives for the commission, obviously getting people biking and walking. But I did want to talk to you all and ask you all about your thoughts on becoming a bicycle-friendly America community. So this is something that was listed in the POCD in 2019, was to become a bronze certified community through this program. It also ties into Sustainable Connecticut. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that initiative, so that's a state organization, and what they do is they help communities identify actions that work towards building sustainable communities, and you earn a certain amount of points for the different actions that you undertake. And then your community can get the certifications, which also consists of bronze, silver, and gold. And there's also a climate leader certification. And right now, Norwalk is bronze, but after the next couple of weeks here, I'm resubmitting our application, and the goal is to be much higher. So they're an amazing organization, so I'm working with them to get all of our ducks in a row and fill in the missing pieces that we need to make sure that we are moving forward on this initiative. So, but this is also a component of that program as well, and we can earn points for being bronze certified. So you can see on the slide here, these are the Connecticut communities that are currently listed. There's 2 silver and all the rest are bronze. So New Haven and Simsbury are silver. And like I said, the rest are bronze. And across the nation, there's 460 bicycle-friendly communities. And yep,
Sorry
go
to
ahead.
cut you off. I just have a
No.
quick question because
Yeah,
this
please,
was
please, yes.
like we talked about, the League of American Bicyclists is something we've been working on. We submitted an application back in 2023. I mentioned we were working potentially on an application again this year, but from what you just said, it sounded like you're also working with the League of American Bicyclists for a bike-friendly city application to award Norwalk bronze status.
It's I think it's the same thing. So
Okay, great.
they've just updated a lot of things and they've changed a lot of things. So, and for 2026, there's still more tweaks. So, and I will be perfectly honest, I have not dove very deeply into this application because what they had online and available before, it required working with somebody directly in the organization. So it was not super, and it was not a very independent process to undergo. So, and I haven't set up the time to reach out to them and get that going yet, but you all are already online for it. So, and as you know, it, excuse me, it incorporates these 5 primary areas where you can earn points. And you go through and evaluate where the community is. And just like Sustainable Connecticut, you earn points based on actions and conditions that are in your community. So and as you know, it's not a very lighthearted process. It's quite intensive. So it does take a lot of human power and time to get it done. so yeah, I wanted to actually talk with you all and see where you all were at and, you know, what you think you would need to be able to do this. If you were still working on it or where things were at, I wasn't sure. So I am open to anything, but I do know that you had mentioned that updating the bike plan was something you would like to work on, and this ties really nicely into that process as well. So a lot of things that you're going to evaluate for a bike plan, updating the bike plan is absolutely in this application. So it's kind of a twofer, if you want to look at it that way. So, so that's where my vision is going. So I don't know. I'm open to questions, thoughts, feedback, input, anything from you all.
This
And
is
thank
great.
you
I
all
know.
for being on board and doing what you're already doing. So this has already made my life so much easier that I've even
No,
got people I can talk to about this.
I'm glad to hear you were looking at the application and working on it and connected with the League of American Bicyclists already. So I know we have a past application from 2023, and earlier this year, one of our strategic goals was to resubmit the application to achieve bronze status from our honorable mention, which is what we earned in 2023. So I think we're both on that same path for that goal. And I'm really glad to hear we can align and collaborate on that. I know part of the process is, like you said, to have a connection with TMP and the city for the engineering part to it and the maps. That's a critical piece to it. So I know our past commissioner, Tanner Thompson, was working on that earlier this year, and I don't know if we've picked up where he's left off, but I think this is a great opportunity to do exactly that. Do any other commissioners have questions on that or comment?
I was a little late to the meeting, but would would you want the commission to participate in that aspect again? Or were you, and so I'm sorry about I was late, but or would you like, are you just presenting to us? So I just wanted a little clarification on that.
Yes, I'm very excited to hear that it is something that you all had worked on previously. So yes, I would absolutely love it if you continue that work. And I'm obviously willing to support and help in any way that I can. So, and then hopefully we'll also be bringing in some other people along the way who will also be interested in this and can help out. So, because it's going to take a village.
So thank you so much.
Oops, very nice. All right.
Any other questions for Jody or if at this time from either commissioners or members of the public? Oh, I see we do have a hand raised in attendance. Leanne, go ahead.
Yes, hi. Jody, you mentioned that you're looking for community engagement and involvement. Exactly how would we go about doing that?
You would reach out to Emily and say, hey, Emily, I would love to help on this effort.
All right, then Emily, how do we reach out to you?
Perfect. We have many ways to get in touch. I think the most convenient way to see all of our options is by visiting bikenorwalk.org. You'll be able to subscribe to our newsletter. Our direct email address is on there. And I can also follow up with you, Leanne, after the meeting and connect
Sorry,
with you
that was
directly.
bikenorwalk.org, you said?
Bikenorwalk.org, correct.
Okay. And just so you know, I'm one of the Lockwood Lane residents, so I'm also on the call to listen to my colleagues present later in the agenda.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Thank
How
you.
fortuitous. Yeah, there's also, if you go to the sustainability webpage on the city's webpage, there's a link there to sign up for my newsletter and information as well. So either way.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Leanne. I see another hand raised. Christina, go ahead.
Hi, Jody. We've met before at a couple of events, namely at a Sustainable Streets General meeting. And then
Yes.
again, I think the Sono Saturday Market, you dropped off a sign-up sheet on our table.
Yes.
I was just wondering, so this effort to go from honorable mention to bronze status, what does that entail? I mean, are there going to have to be infrastructure upgrades to achieve that in terms of like bike lanes or other kinds of infrastructure? And you know, I know that you're working on this in your city capacity. You know, what kind of tools are at your disposal to make those sorts of infrastructure improvements, should they be required to get us to that bronze level?
That is an excellent point, Christina. Thank you for bringing that up. And that is where it exactly gets into this whole strategic planning portion of it. So if there are, you know, major upgrades or things that need to be, you know, infrastructure that needs to be built in, then what we would be doing is incorporating that into the sustainability and resilience plan as an objective, and including that in the planning process for city projects. So, you know, it would be timelined out, figure out financing capacity, and, you know, when it would fit into the rest of the city projects that are going on. But it would be identified as one of the objectives of things that the city wants to do in order to make our community more bikeable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you, Jody. Any
Thank
other
you all.
questions? Any other comments or questions for Jody while we have her? Thank you again for your time tonight, Jody. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, moving on here. I apologize, my nose is acting up a little bit. I have a little bit of a cold. Okay. So with that, our next agenda item here is the acceptance of the minutes from our July meeting, the special meeting, excuse me. Can I entertain a motion from one of our commissioners to approve the July minutes? Manny, thank you. And I see Becca has seconded. All in favor? And it's approved. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay. So then next on our agenda item here, we have old business. I have a quick Sono Market Saturday recap from the July event. Nick, I believe you were able to manage that event. I'll hand it off to you to talk briefly about the event.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. It was a good event overall. I think that it's kind of fulfilling its vision of getting a little bigger each time that they hold the event. I think the amount of cyclists who utilize the bike valet service is comparable to what we saw last month. I want to say you had like 6 last time, and this time we had 5, I want to say. Overall, not bad. It did highlight my, or rather our need for a branded tent. Well, preferably a branded tent, not necessarily branded, but a tent at all would be good, just because at first I declined to get one because it wasn't going to rain, but it was actually really sunny. I ended up with a nice farmer's tan from not having a tent. So yeah, if we got a brand new one, that'd be real useful for numerous reasons. And also,
So-
like, I managed it myself, which like was fine. It was totally fine to do with just one person, but for the sake of like letting people who are manning the station, I think I would recommend having at least 2 people there, just for the sake of allowing one person to walk, leave the station, and like go network or go just enjoy the event in general. Honestly, like it can be done with one person, but you're kind of just like tied down there, and it's not necessarily a lot of fun. That's all I got.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for taking the lead on that and managing that. I know a lot of us were out, so I appreciate you, even though it would be nice to have maybe a little more lead time and volunteer help. We'll definitely take that into account for the next event, which is in August. But I also have great tidings of joy because I heard from Director Jim Travers that he was able to acquire the Bike Norwalk tent. And I would like to share what he got because I'm very grateful to him. So shout out to Jim and Greg for getting this done here. This is our tent that we have stored currently in the Yankee Doodle garage. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. And thank you for bringing it up because now we will have some protection at events as we continue to do this. But on that note, it will need to be transported and it looks pretty big, which is also really exciting. So we will look at using this at hopefully the event in August. Thank you, Jim Travers. Thank you, Nick Pappas. Okay. Any other comments from other commissioners on the Sono Market Saturday? I know the next event is August 30th. Are there, just ahead of time, any commissioners that know that they would be available Saturday, August 30th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
I'll have to check my schedule. So I'll get back to you on that. But I'll get back to you shortly via email.
Perfect. Thank you, Manny.
As of now, I'm a maybe.
Thank you, Becca.
I'm a hard no. I'll be out of the country.
Thank you, Nick. I hope you get some good time abroad. You deserve it. Thank you for running the last one solo. I will hopefully make myself available if I get the approval. So I will preemptively to send out an email to our subscribers to see if I can get some volunteer help ahead of time. But Nick, to your point, in one of our last meetings, I think it's important we always have at least one commissioner manning the bike valet station at all times. So we'll try our best to stick to that. Okay. The next item, Nick, I will also let you lead this because I know you're actively communicating with Sergeant Everts with the Norwalk Police Department, which is the Norwalk Night Out event on August 13th.
Yeah, so as far as I know, this is going to be the same business as usual for Norwalk Night Out, which just a nice community event outside of the Norwalk Police Department, where they're closing down the streets, having several members of the community come out, several local businesses tabling, and they're a little. It seems it's going to be a first come first serve situation as to like where we'll actually put our table, because it's just generic, like this is where everyone's putting their tables according to the map that they sent out. So I think it's going to be important to kind of coordinate that effort just to make sure that we don't get lost in all the craziness. I think we normally get lost in the craziness that happens once we show up because it tends to be right after work hours or like right when people are getting out of work and we're trying to make it right when we got out of work. So we'll make it work regardless. But that's all to say that this is a bigger community event and it's very well attended. People are constantly coming to the tables to ask questions and learn more about what the different organizations do. So it's definitely the kind of event you want more than one person, preferably more than two persons at the table, if we can manage it. Because there's just a lot of foot traffic, a lot of questions, a lot of people. And if we've got all our swag that we're hoping to get by this time, which like includes bike lights and helmets and whatnot, then this is the perfect opportunity to give that stuff away.
What's
I
the new
completely agree. Oh,
what's
go
the new date again? I'm sorry.
Looks like that's August 13th.
And I believe that's a Wednesday, right, Nick?
That's correct. Yeah.
It's at 6 p.m. you say? Or
So it was originally done for 5 p.m., but I've also seen some sources say 4 p.m. I can get that clarified with Sergeant Everts because I have seen a few different start times.
And I do want to reiterate what you said, Nick. It's a great opportunity, especially with the presence of the kids. There's so many kids that come through either on scooters or bikes or walking who have bikes, and we do the helmet fitting. And so we always kind of walk through the helmet safety check and make sure it's a proper fit and that sort of thing. So we do end up sometimes with a line, and we want to make sure to go about the safety procedures properly. So I think the more volunteers we can get to help out at this event, the better. And then I don't know if you already mentioned this, but I think because of the presence and the, you know, amount of people kind of walking through, it didn't seem like a good fit for bike valet. And it's really more focused on safety education and those handouts of bike equipment like lights and helmets and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but I would definitely agree.
Just according to the website, it's going to be on Thursday, August 13th from 5 to 8.
Thursday, August 13th.
Yeah, you see, like that's why I see the mix
Oh.
because 13th is definitely a Wednesday.
So then we'll get some clarification, I guess. Originally, it was supposed to be on the 31st, which was a Thursday, right? Of July.
Yeah, it's normally on a Thursday.
Okay. So then yeah, let's get that figured out. But I'll make myself available to be able to assist with that. And hopefully we can use the tent that we just acquired as well. But if there are any other commissioners, I know Manny, you just took note of the event, but that know that they can attend and help out at this event, please let me know. Or please let Nick know. Let us know. Okay. Any questions or comments before we move on to our next agenda item here? Okay. And with that, we have new business, and that brings us to the Lockwood Lane sidewalks and cyclist safety. We had a comment come through from Stacy Herbert, and I believe on her behalf tonight, we're going to hear from Jack. Jack, if you wouldn't mind, or Darlene, I think we might need to unmute Jack again so that he can go ahead and speak tonight.
Did that work?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you for having us on. And Stacy's actually here with me and my wife right now. My wife has lived in in Lockwood Lane for almost 20 years. So just a brief statement. We've discovered that the city plans to install commercial grade sidewalks in our residential neighborhood under the guise of the Complete Streets Initiative, which the city defines as an approach to planning, designing, building, operating, and maintaining streets that enable safe access for all people. who need to use them, including pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, and transit riders of all ages and abilities. We would note that what was actually approved was complete streets, not sidewalks for Lockwood Lane. The specific design of these commercial grade sidewalks, with their 7.5 foot wide dimensions poses significant risks to the residents. We were told by Dan Stanton that the street would be narrowed to accommodate these sidewalks, leaving little room for bicyclists. This squeezing of space is particularly alarming as vehicles frequently speed and ignore the three-way stop sign that currently exists on Winthrop and Lockwood. The situation is made worse by the blind curve that is down by the temple and the very steep hill that goes from Winthrop Avenue, goes on Lockwood between Winthrop and George. So the cities have said that the sidewalks are needed for ADA connectivity, and we all can appreciate that. However, it's a complete disregard of the real traffic dynamics that are occurring on Lockwood Lane, and including the needs of the residents who enjoy the street. The slope of the hill that I just mentioned, which is Lockwood between Winthrop and George, and the positioning of the curve make it non-conducive to wheelchair accessibility, which really brings into question the effectiveness of this connectivity goal. Bicyclists will face increased danger navigating the tighter roadways amid faster moving traffic and errant drivers. So I would go on to say that the main points we see is that, first of all, the hill is too steep for bikes to use or people in a wheelchair to use the sidewalks. Anyone that's ridden a bicycle knows that you need to weave a little bit when you're going up steep hills. And that would eliminate the ability to do that if you were to push bicyclists onto sidewalks. And I don't think bicyclists on sidewalks are a good idea anyway. Lockwood Lane, best we can tell, is not listed on the Norwalk map as a sharrows. That was a new word I learned. Roads that are too narrow for cars and bicyclists to share. Right now, it is big. It is big enough for that. It won't be after they put through the existing sidewalks as proposed. We've been told that there is no definitive plan right now for sidewalks. However, Dan Stanton sent me a very highly detailed drawing of where the sidewalk would be in front of our house. So clearly the plan does exist. They just haven't bothered to share it with us. Additionally, Lockwood is not part of the Safe Routes to School program, as best we can tell from everything that's listed. Lockwood doesn't directly connect East Avenue to Strawberry Hill, which is what you would have to be part of the Safe Route to School program. In fact, it doesn't directly connect anything for that matter. It's a high-speed shortcut to Stu Leonard's. And as I said, the drivers blow through the stop sign. Someone on our street has a radar gun and has clocked people going 40 miles an hour
50.
through the stop sign without even slowing down. And it's directly in front of our house, so we see it. I put a sign out underneath the stop sign that says, "Smile, you're on camera." Of course, they're not on camera other than our ring, but anything to try to slow people down because there are children in the neighborhood. Now, Sunset Hill does go directly to Strawberry Hill. That's certainly the most direct connection, and they have sidewalks, as does Beacon Street, which just got sidewalks that I think any layman would look and say they've created a hazard for bicyclists with their cutouts and the narrowing of the street. So again, according to Dan Stanton, who seems to be the engineer in charge of this project in this area, he wrote, quote, "As discussed, this narrows the road and provides sidewalk roadway of the utility pole, unquote. And he said quote, for 2026, we are designing the complete street. We have not finalized a sidewalk design. However, the city intends to install a sidewalk on the north side of Lockwood Avenue for a continuous sidewalk from East Avenue to George Avenue. The connection will provide a safe ADA route, unquote. And then he enclosed that drawing that, as I said, was in intimate detail. According to ADA regulations, and I don't have the regulation number right now, it's not possible to create an ADA approved sidewalk on a hill that has a grade that exists on Lockwood Lane. It's just not allowed. It's not part of it. So the we're trying to get a copy, of course, of this quote preliminary drawing showing the sidewalk so that we can all see, first of all, how much property we're going to lose and what the sidewalks are going to look like. But it should also be noted that most residents on Lockwood Lane park their cars on the street. Their driveways are either very small or very steep, or they don't have a driveway at all. So narrowing the road, a la Beacon Street, is going to eliminate the vast majority, if not all, of the parking on the street, causing again a hazard for bicyclists because now the road will definitely become a Sharrows if as proposed as the sidewalks that we can see from this drawing we were given would definitely cause. Additionally, a drainage project was started over a year ago. It was finished, and they just restarted it again last week because it wasn't done correctly. And we all believe, and we had a big meeting last week with 40 attendees on our street. We certainly think that the city needs to fix the drainage before they start thinking about sidewalks or adding any other variables into the equation. The sidewalks aren't going to cure the flooding problems, which quite frankly have been exacerbated by the road work because they changed the pitch of the road. The sidewalks would be trying to solve a problem that would be created by building sidewalks. So in other words, you would build a sidewalk and narrow the road, and that would create a problem of people being able to ride bicycles on the road. So you've created a problem, and then you're trying to solve it with building a sidewalk. There's no reason to create the problem in the first place. The residents of Lockwood, and we've polled everybody, are overwhelmingly don't want sidewalks on this street. We think it will. We just don't see a value to it. The narrowing the street is going to increase the risk of striking bicyclists and pedestrians, and again cause parking problems. So I would close by just saying that we think Lockwood Lane is a charming street. We think we treasure it. We love it. There are people who have lived here 40, 50, 60 years. It's crazy. It's like people don't, they move here and it's like the Roach Motel of streets. They move here and they don't move out. And it's very charming. We really don't want to see that ruined. And so we really want the city to reconsider and revisit this in consultation, of course, with the community and transportation safety experts. This at best seems ill-advised and ill-designed. Maybe it's reevaluating the sidewalk design. Maybe it's a non-commercial 7.5-foot wide sidewalk with a 12-inch high curb. We don't need that. Some shared spaces that both pedestrians and bicyclists can, safely coexist. I've even thought, just talking off the top of my head, that splitting Lockwood Lane at Winthrop and having the part of Lockwood Lane that goes west of Winthrop should be one way towards East Avenue, and the part east of it should be one way going up the street towards George, which would prevent people from speeding down to Stu Leonard so that they can get their fresh dairy products. Because that really is, it really is used mostly for that. Otherwise, it's just people who are here. Clearly, the topography and the traffic pattern does not make, and just the roads that are connected to Lockwood Lane don't make Lockwood Lane attractive as a safe routes to school road, or really any other, useful thing. It's really just a neighborhood street, and we really want a safer, more balanced approach that respects the people in the neighborhood and prioritizes the safety of the bicyclists and the people who walk on the street. And there are a lot of the neighbors, their kids play, they play in the street, they play around, and making the streets narrower and pushing them, further into the street is just, it's really going to be bad for everybody.
Oh, thank you so much, Jack, for sharing tonight. And thank you to everyone else in attendance from the Lockwood Lane group. Greg, I'll let you start in response to this.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on. And just to be clear, so the project is being constructed by the Department of Public Works. So Dan Stanton is the engineer that's on the project. And obviously they were finishing up the drainage project as well. Also for insight, there will be the Public Works Department will be hosting a public information meeting once the plans are further along, so that all the community members on Lockwood can be in attendance, for that meeting. So at this meeting tonight, it's not a decision that's made by the Bike Walk Commission or anything like that. So, we appreciate you coming on here tonight, but there will be a public information meeting with Public Works Department and with the city. I'm with the Transportation Mobility and Parking Department. I know we've been working with DPW on these plans. I'll just throw out a couple additional things. So the sidewalk width is, I know you said it's going to be 7.5 foot wide. It's only going to be 5 feet wide. The sidewalks, the extra 2.5 feet, 3 feet will be a grass amenity zone in between the edge of the road and the sidewalk itself. And then the curb height is going to be 6 inches, not 12 inches. That's the standard curb reveal size for the curbing. And then as far as ADA compliant perspective, as long as you match the grade of the road, it is ADA compliant. You see sidewalks in cities like San Francisco that have very steep grades, but they have the sidewalk that aligns the grade of the road, which does make it compliant. We've put sidewalks on steep, hills before. Spring Hill, for instance, is one of them. That is able to provide that ADA access on that sidewalk if it was a wheelchair or a parent pushing a stroller or whatnot. So it provides that extra pedestrian space instead of walking in the street. I know you had said that cars speed on the street. One thing we noticed is the Lockwood Lane is so wide today, and it varies in and out, and that's why wider roads kind of promote higher speeds. So by narrowing the road, that will look to reduce the speeds of the road, and then by establishing a curb on both sides, it'll make the road look more narrow, which will reduce speeds and make people also stop at that the intersection of Winthrop at Lockwood Lane, because today in its current condition, it's so big. So that's why people don't feel the need to stop. And then also it's so wide, they can just blow right through it and nobody cares. Also, you brought up some safety as far as a pedestrian. By putting it in the sidewalk, it provides a safe, dedicated space for the pedestrian. So that's why we're looking to put sidewalks here. And on a longer term perspective, this is kind of phase one. I know you had mentioned that there's no sidewalk, north of East Avenue or north where George Avenue is. So our next phase, we're also looking at doing sidewalks on George Avenue as well. So this is like phase one of a longer term project to install sidewalks on George Ave, which has been desperately wanted by the residents on George Avenue for years, going back 10, 12 years now. So that's kind of going to be phase two. So it's just a natural connection to the sidewalks, the future sidewalks on George Avenue. And one other thing too, the other sidewalks, if you look at all the adjacent parallel streets that connect to East Avenue. Every street has a sidewalk except for Lockwood Lane. And Lockwood Lane connects directly to George Avenue. So it is a nice connection, East Avenue, Lockwood, George, and then to Tierney, which is a connection to the walk shed area within the 3 schools that are close by. So just a couple of high level things just to point out. And like I said, there will be a public information meeting that Public Works will be holding in the fall time once those plans are developed further. But we appreciate you coming along here, and you'll be able to, speak again to the Public Works Department during that meeting as well.
All right, well, I mean, the drawing that we have does show 7.5 feet wide, and I
So
understand there might be.
that's
there might be
7.5, maybe but most of the sidewalks are 5 feet. I don't have the drawing in front of me, but the sidewalks are 5 feet for the most of the.
Well, I'd respectfully request to get the drawing for the entire street as is currently proposed, because I think the neighbors need to see it.
And you'll be able to see it
I'm
at
old,
the public
I'm old
meeting.
enough and have enough gray hair to know that, public meetings are typically to discuss what's already been decided and really just to let people vent, and it's just going to happen anyway. So what we're trying to do is preempt that and just say, listen, we don't want them. I absolutely would disagree that making a street narrower makes people drive more slowly. What it does is increase the chance of a head-on collision.
I mean, you can look up the statistics.
Okay, well, I mean,
but
I
narrow roads promote slower speeds, and also based on the volumes that are on the road, there's, we've done all the existing parking conditions. We've done all the, ADTs, the average daily traffic on the road. We're just looking at reducing the speeds and making the road more right size and more normal.
Right,
Right
and all
now,
the
the
normal
widths
ways
are all
that
over
you
the
would
place.
reduce, all the normal ways you'd reduce speed, like speed bumps and things like this, have been ruled out as a non-starter because they say emergency vehicles need to use this road, and in
Correct.
spite of
And
the
that's
fact
true
that
for
I've
every
never
other
seen one
street as well.
except for
There's
the
no,
Santa
we
Claus.
can't do any new speed humps.
Right. Okay. So anyway, the point is that between the blind corner and the hill, I just think that it's not just me, that all of us think that that this would be a really bad idea. And again, maybe we can be phase 2, or maybe we can be phase 72. So after you're done with George and you're done with all the other little streets and Winthrop and all the other ones, then you can build the one in Lockwood, because we just don't want it. I mean, we don't want it. We think it's a safety hazard. We look at the people. You may look at speed records and charts and historical precedent. I look at the children who are playing here and who are going to lose their front yard, who are going to lose pieces of their front yard, and are going to be forced to play on the street more than they did before because they just lost 7.5 feet of their front yard. So I think that, you can cite every kind of traffic study you want to cite, but all you need to do is spend a day here and see the kids on the street and how the street is used, and the fact that, nobody stops at these stop signs, and figure out that, splitting the street, creating one-way situations and leaving the road, as wide as possible to accommodate people who park on the street is going to create a far safer, more conducive, more friendly neighborhood than putting in a sidewalk that nobody wants.
Jack, I really appreciate your time tonight, and Greg, I'll let you continue. I do want to just quickly highlight, the discussion around traffic calming measures, the opportunity that you mentioned, Jack, which is that there are, kids and cyclists and people walking up and down this road, Lockwood Lane. It looks like there's a nursery on one side and you have Nathan Hale on the other. You mentioned something about safe routes to school. I think especially with our commission, at least our goal is definitely to encourage safe infrastructure for walking and biking. So I'm glad that you came to this meeting with concern for the cyclists. Greg, I know you mentioned there's a public information meeting with the Department of Works or Public Works.
Yeah.
Do you know
So once
exactly when that meeting will be?
we don't have any details right now. I know the plans are, they're kind of in that preliminary phase, and they're finalizing those preliminary phases right now. And once they have that, they'll have the public meeting and present that to the members of the public who live on Lockwood.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think we're all concerned about, you know, if you do decide to go through with this, what kind of eminent domain payments are going to be made to the homeowners, or is there going to be a reduction in property tax from the taking of property? There's a lot of questions about about this that go well beyond just the negative aesthetic effect of the Beacon Street kind of sidewalks that have been that we just don't want on our street.
Is there a point of contact, Greg, or an email? Or Jack, do you already have that? You mentioned Mr. Stanton potentially, but is there another opportunity to submit feedback for the public, Greg, that you know of offhand?
So not that I know of, I just know Dan is the contact lead on this project through the Department of Public Works. So if you have any questions or concerns, I know TMP has received some emails as well. So we've been coordinating with DPW based on some of the emails we received, good and bad. So, but yeah, I would just reach out to Dan, who's leading this project right now. And we also have a design consultant who's undergoing all the design work as well.
And who will get us the whole street drawing that everybody keeps referring to as preliminary, but has got things marked out to the 100th of a second of on GPS coordinates?
So the whole area was previously surveyed based on for the drainage project. So all the properties, all the right-of-way lines were already surveyed. So we have all that information. So the routing of the sidewalks, we know exactly where all the property lines are. So during
the property lines on these drawings are the one that I have that shows a sidewalk are incorrect. These are GIS drawings that if you look at the GIS website, it says these are not to be used to determine property lines.
So the plans that I've seen, they have the right of way. So I don't know what plans that were shared with you. But there is survey throughout the area. Based on
then again, for the fourth time, I'd like to request the opportunity to either pick up a copy of those plans at City Hall or have them emailed to me. So which way should it do? Should I come pick them up in person, or where are you going
So
to?
those plans are still being developed. So during the public meeting, they will be presented. So you'll be able to see them.
I don't want to wait till the public meeting. I want to have a chance to have a lawyer look at them before the public meeting, so that when the lawyer's at the public meeting, he can address the plans. The plans exist. I have a copy of a section of the plans. I just want the rest of the street. I think we're entitled to it. I think they exist. We're entitled to it. Where do I get them? That's what I want to know. I want to know
reach out to
where I pick up. I want to know this week where I pick up the plan.
Take a step back. Hold on. Reach out to Dan Stanton if you have questions. He's leading the project. He can refer you if to where the stage is at, and if he has those plans ready to share yet. Those plans, they may not be ready to share. That's why he still has them.
Oh, I'm sure they're not ready to share, but they're ready. So we'd like to see them. And if you've ever received an email from Dan Stanton, it's the most gobbledygook double talk you've ever seen in your life. And I don't mean that in a mean way.
Sorry, I might have to cut you off there.
Do not come on the meeting and badmouth somebody right
I'm not
now.
bad mouthing him. I'm just saying that he doesn't. I asked 7 questions in an email, and he wrote me a thing about the streets initiative and this, that, and the other thing. And he didn't address one single question, not one, not even one. And I wrote him back and I said, thank you for the historical perspective that you put around the streets initiative. I said, I appreciate it. Could you please address the 7 questions that I asked? And it was crickets. I got nothing. I got no response whatsoever. And then when he did send a response later, he did not address one single question. So it's not bad mouthing, it's just pointing out fact.
Right. Well, I'm just in a public meeting setting right now. This is not the proper place to do it. If you would like to talk to it separately, then you could take it offline with Dan. But for right now, this isn't the setting right now.
So Dan's the person to get these plans from, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
then thank you very much. I will go down and see Dan.
Okay. With that, I think I'm going to close out any additional comments or questions. Becca, I see you have your hand raised, but I think in an effort to keep to our agenda and time,
It'll be really quick.
okay, go ahead.
I wanted to associate myself with the comments of Mr. Pacelli and also point out that I randomly picked number 8 Lockwood Lane, and that clocks in as a 14-minute walk to Nathan Hale Middle School, which in my book would constitute a highly usable walking route to school.
Thank you, Becca. Okay. And then with that, I will move on to our next new business item here, which is the Sono School Walk event. Manny, I don't know if you want to speak to this. I know we invited Joanna Van Zetter from the Norwalk Public Schools, who talked about this event coming up. Manny, I don't know if you have any additional details. I don't think she is on tonight to talk to it, but do you want to share what she shared with us?
Sure, yeah. Basically, we've been invited to attend what I would call it's the grand opening of the new school in Sono, which is going to be a school that's emphasizing basically being able to walk to school because it's in the community and it's in the neighborhood. And so, Emily and I corresponded with Joanna, who's the director of transportation at Norwalk Schools. And we are pleased to, and I want to invite the rest of the commission to be a part of it as well and come out to the event and be a presence at this incredible event that is, I feel is very unique in the fact that, the school is trying to emphasize walking to school and emphasize walkers who walk to school. And so I think that's very exciting news. And so let me pull up the date. Let me try to find that date.
I have it here on the agenda, actually, if you
Great.
don't mind. Friday, August 22nd, that afternoon. And I know Joanna invited our commission, if anyone is available to join that walk. Greg, I imagine that TMP may be somewhat involved in that as well.
Yes, we are. And we actually spoke with Joanna last week about it, and she introduced the item to us. So we're excited. We actually just finished up the sidewalks on Lexington Avenue Extension, as well as Knapp Street, which leads right to the new school driveway. There's a new crosswalk that's right there. So I think that might be one of the spots that may be along the walking tour.
That's really great news. Thank you, Greg. Excellent work. And then on that note too, Jalea, I think I extended the invitation to you if you hadn't already received it from Joanna, but I thought that would be great, especially with the other walks you're doing. And especially with the bike walk roll to school event coming up in the fall, this is a good kind of preemptive opportunity to look at that space.
Yes, I did receive it. Thank you, Emily. And I'm going to try to attend so that I can tag along as well.
Thank you, Jalea. Excellent. Any other questions or interested commissioners that know they're available Friday, August 22nd to join that? It's a very brief walk. I think it's 30 minutes.
I should be able to attend.
I am a maybe.
Okay. Great.
No,
Okay.
if that's in the middle of the day, like it says here, I wouldn't be able to attend.
Okay.
Wait, just
Not even on your.
is it in the middle of the day? It's a walk around as opposed. It's not like walking to school in the morning for school.
Correct. No, it's in the afternoon.
I see.
Okay. Then with that, we'll move on to discussion. Our next agenda item here. So the bike walk ordinance committee next steps. So Becca, I think I left this with you to some degree. And I know I was hoping to meet with the commission before our call tonight individually to kind of feel out our next steps here, but I know this was discussed in our June meeting, I believe. I'll let you go ahead.
I have not received any of this information from Tanner and do not have an update.
Okay, great. So then we will work offline to bring this to our next meeting, I think, if that works with everyone. Okay. And then the last item I have here for our agenda tonight is the CT DOT Active Transportation Microgrant Program. They're opening up the third quarter. And I wanted to just quickly check and see how we did on spending the last grant that we were awarded. I think we spent just about all of that. Is that correct, Greg? Sorry. Yeah, let me pull the document we have. So I think this was last year, we were awarded these specific items through this grant application. And I believe, and Nick, maybe you can confirm to the helmets, locks, we did spend for Julia's training. I don't think we've spent for these though.
Isn't so much like spent, if you will, but more so have we received them, which I think goes back to Greg, really.
Yeah, so the order, so the helmets and locks, they are ready. Alex at Smart Cycles has the order. They just have to be delivered.
Perfect.
We can't technically count them as spent until we've received them, right? Or actually, is that only applicable to the city budget?
No, it's still for the grant, so we should be receiving them soon, and then we can pay the invoice. Because we haven't received the invoice yet, so we can't pay the invoice until we receive it.
Okay,
All right, thanks for the clarification.
thank you. Okay, so Greg, are you working with Alex on getting that, or do you need assistance from our team to get that delivered?
No, usually he delivers it, and he asked me last week for an ad to where to deliver it to.
Okay, perfect.
So I assume they're coming soon.
I mean, it would really be a shame if we couldn't get these in time for the Norwalk Night Out. So unless you see a reason for us not to kind of light a fire under Alex, then like I would kind of vouch to do so.
No, I mean, I've been corresponding with him, so I don't want to confuse him if somebody else reaches out to him. So I can reach out and just see when he's expected to deliver them.
Okay. We appreciate that very much, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. And then the only two other items here, brochures and special event permits. I think I did mention marketing materials, using that here for brochures. So from the League of American Bicyclists or Watch from ECT. So Greg, I will try to get you an invoice for about this much for some print brochures in safe cycling.
Sounds good.
And then the special events permit, I'm curious, being part of the city, we didn't have to pay the fee to be a vendor at the Sono Market Saturday. But Nick, I do believe there was a fee with the Seaport Association if we wanted to do the Oyster Festival, or at least maybe one day of the Oyster Festival.
Yeah.
Is that true?
This was we have the money set aside, kind of like if an event gives us a hard time for event registration, but we'd really rather not do that, considering we're not profit or a municipality, if you will. But it's there in case we need it, kind of a thing.
Okay.
And
I mean,
for
go ahead.
For the purpose of like the Seaboard Association's Oyster Festival, it did kind of sneak up on us this year again, didn't it? But at this point, if we haven't started correspondence, I think it would kind of look unprofessional for us to try and start correspondence now, because they definitely are way into their planning for their event and have expressed to us that if we want to partner with them for something like Bike Ballet to start in May.
Well, I'm happy to report that I did speak with a few of their board members at the Sono Arts Festival this past weekend. And I did get a contact, which I believe is the same contact that you had from last year, Mike Riley. And I mentioned, and I even showed pictures of the bikes lined up on the chain link fence outside the event. But I know the barrier on my end for the commission is that it's a huge venture because it's like an all-day event for 2 days, 3 days. So it, I don't know if we have the resources to do that for that, surplus of cyclists and, to your point, the amount of planning and preparation we have. But I was curious to see if it is something for like maybe one day, if there was a specific time or day that we could offer some bike valet services, but I know that kind of gets into a gray area. But I was curious what other commissioners thought of that opportunity or another way to spend this special events permit money. If there's another event, I know the NICE Festival is in the fall this year as well, but I don't know if there was a fee associated with that or not.
I think we should be trying to do the Oyster Festival if at all possible. Looks like Friday is just sort of an evening, so I'd say we throw most of our resources at Saturday, right? That's the peak day.
I agree.
Okay. Nick, your deep in thought. What are you thinking?
I disagree. I don't think we're ready for it.
Good. Okay.
What do people do
So
with their
then-
bikes when we're not there? Do they not bike? Is there just a lack of awareness around biking as a viable way of getting there?
Oh,
Go ahead, Emily.
no, after you. Go ahead.
In my short experience, attending the festival, people usually park against the fences that are set up. The temporary fences are set up at the park.
I've noticed that too. And then I'm walking distance. So sometimes I will ride my bike just to get there a little faster. Or I do notice, like Manny said, they're up along the chain link fence or I think there's a bike rack in Veterans or some sort of bike parking on the other side. I'll see bikes there as well. But most of the time they're either tied to trees on Seaview Avenue or along the fence. So I thought maybe having the opportunity at that entrance to set up, but I think to Nick's point too, I don't want to reach out now and have them feel like it's not proper planning, but I did talk to a few of their people and they seemed open to talking more. So I got Mike Riley's cell phone number and I haven't reached out just yet because I wanted to confirm with our team that it's something we can potentially commit to. And then if there is this fee for special events permit, it's a way to spend that money here.
Well, it's good to know the demand is there for a safe place to keep one's bicycle. I mean, maybe it speaks to the lack of just municipal bike locking up availability at Vets Park writ large, right? Like, obviously, Vets Park is not seeing this many bikes on a daily basis, but if we know that it's going to be seeing them at special events, like, is that something where we could push the city to just add more bike racks? Or if the city owns some temporary bike racks where people could come and lock their bikes, like where we just double or quadruple the amount of bike parking just on those days.
Well, I think that's exactly what the Bike Valet is trying to do.
Well,
Yeah.
sure, but the bike valet requires human supervision and lock at your own risk does not.
Yeah, good point. And I think that I want to be clear that I don't think that there isn't demand for these sorts of things. I just want it to be executed well.
Becca, you mentioned this, and I've seen this sometimes at events where there's like a temporary bike parking rack. Greg, does TNP have something like this? Can we offer this for events potentially?
We have older racks like that, but we've been trying to get rid of them because they're not like the most aesthetically pleasing, and not to mention they're hard to transport as well. And storage wise, where do you keep them?
I
I
think
know
you
they're
should
not the
forget
best
about
bike
Veterans
rack.
Park. That's off the record.
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah, Becca, I heard you though. I mean, so it's good to hear. So you do have these stowed away. You're trying to get rid of them. It could be an opportunity to offload them onto an event, like, not saying it is, but like the Oyster Festival that may have the need for something like this. And while we may not have the manpower, if we can find a way to transport them to the event for that period of time, people can self-serve and park their bikes in a more aesthetically pleasing rack than along the fence or in way of pedestrians or on trees, that sort of thing.
I can't guarantee that. I mean, it's TMP certainly can't. We don't have the manpower nor the vehicles to transport these. So it would be up to Rex and Park most likely to transport these, because it is their park. And
Okay,
plus, I don't know
perfect.
the
So-
layout. It would be up to the Seaport Association also where to put them, because I know they take over the whole park area. So where do they go? Is the other question.
These are the good questions. Okay, perfect. So Rec and Parks would be our point of contact for transport, moving them. Are they currently, they're housed by TMP right now?
No, I mean, I don't even know where that. I know some of them are scattered throughout the city and still in use. You know, where we don't have
Oh.
a lot of bike racks. So, I don't know how many we have that are just sitting around. But I know there's some just scattered about the town.
Is there some location, just to keep brainstorming, is there some location we can think of that has like a lot of bike parking, what we could encourage people to like shuttle from, right? I forget, does Oysterfest run shuttles from parking lots?
Yeah,
I
from
believe
Cap-
they do, yes.
Right, because you can't park on site. You have to, unless you need ADA parking. Is that true?
It's also just a convenience that they offer to people who are going to the event.
Yeah, but also to disincentivize like every street parking all over East Norwalk, right? They want you to park at garages and then get in the shuttle.
Right.
So maybe a good first step is just for us to highlight the availability of bike racks near these shuttles, right? Like there's a bike rack at the Maritime Garage. There's a bike rack at the Yankee Doodle Garage. There are bike racks at Sono Station and Eno Station. And from there, one can shuttle to the Oysterfest.
That's a really good idea, Becca. I like that.
Baby steps.
Especially,
I don't want to
yeah.
disincentivize cycling here.
No, I think that's a really good point. And especially if you want to avoid the crowds of the Oyster Festival, but you want to have your bike in a safe spot. And we have all this beautiful bike parking, especially one really underutilized one is that one in the Maritime Garage. And then there's the Shark Rack right in front, but inside there's a nice, rows of opportunities to park your bike there. So I think that's
See, I didn't even know
a
about the
really
one
good
inside. I
point.
only knew about the shark. This is great.
I know there's hopefully some good signage coming to that other bike parking station too, but I think that's a great idea, is in addition to highlighting the parking lots to access the event, the bike parking opportunities. But I will,
Like
my
that's
own-
easy social media for us.
right, a good way to spread the word online too. Okay. So I know I kind of got off track there on that last item, which was that special events permit and making sure we find a way to spend that so that we can apply again for this grant. But other than that, Greg, we'll follow up with you on the locks and helmets, especially for the Norwalk Night Out event, which is on the 13th or 14th. We will figure that out.
Okay. We also have the lights as well, the front and rear tail lights and headlights that are in our possession. We've had those for a while. We have two boxes of those.
When you say in your possession, do you mean in the TMP office?
They are in the TMP office, yes.
All right. We'll definitely have to get that out of your hair then. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Nick.
Before we move on, just to be sure, Greg, say we say we don't have a reason to use the $200, is there any stipulation where we can kind of like return that money from the grant in order to like make it possible for us to then apply for that next micro grant? I just don't want to make that be the only thing that's preventing us from applying for another micro grant.
That we would have to find out through DOT, and I think it would be more hoops to jump through if we return it. Maybe we can allocate the funding towards something else instead. But I think I hate to give back money if we don't need to.
Are we on deadline for this one? And if so, what is it?
No, there's no deadline, but we can't apply for another one until you spend every dime.
How are we doing on high vis vests? Do we need more of those?
I think we have 8 or 9 high visibility vests. We also have these beautiful flags that Jim Travers ordered for us as well. So I think the items that we did need were print marketing materials and then those helmets and locks, or the print brochures, excuse me. But we can, I'll make a note that could add our budget to our next meeting discussion, just so we can quickly check back and kind of get a headway on where we're spending our budget this year too. But definitely the opportunity for grants is the reason I brought this up too, because that grant was just released. I think there was an email notification that went out, and I forwarded it to our commissioners here. And then there's another one as well that'll bring up in next month, or actually it's due this month through Athletic Brewing Company. 2 for the Trail is the other grant that just will open up in August, I believe. So maybe we do have time to add that to the agenda next month. But making sure we wrap up this one first. Okay. And then with that, I think that's our last item on the agenda tonight. Yeah, that is it. Okay. We're a little over time. Thank you all for staying on.
Emily, can I put a
Can
quick
I-
plug in?
Oh, yes,
Um,
please, Julie, go ahead.
So the Norwalk Health Department is partnering with the Norwalk River Valley Trail to host walks every Wednesday at 5:30 in September. If you just go to the Norwalk Health Department's Norwalker page, the flyer is up there, but I don't think there is a chat that I can share it in. Emily, maybe I could send it to you and you could just send it out to everyone if that's fine. But that's the only thing.
Definitely.
So please join us if you can and get the word out. So that people can walk the trail and find out about it and get some exercise, and use the resources available to them.
Thank you, Juliet. And I will share my screen quickly so we can look at this. I do see the dates for September on here. Are there any in August, or is it's starting up in September again?
Yeah, we're taking August off due to scheduling, so September.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Yes. And these are during the day, correct?
5:30 p.m. So the original walks were
Oh.
at 10 a.m. on Mondays. We're moving them to Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. so that people that are working can come to the walks, because we had pretty, low attendance for the first ones.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, this is a great opportunity. And I love that it's on the NRVT. Okay. Any other commissioners with comments or questions? Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's call. Becca, thank you. Nanny seconded. Okay. We don't have to, yeah. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Greg and Jody and Darlene, and Julia, and everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.